The transfer portal frenzy begins. Okay, the transfer portal opens on Monday, December the 4th, but players can make their intention to enter the transfer portal beforehand. There's some really big names who's already hit the portal. A big name from Clemson who hit the portal this morning. I'm going to dive into that and more. Hey, welcome to Clemson Football Live. I'm Brian. I appreciate you being here. If you've subscribed or you've been watching me, I appreciate you coming back. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you subscribe. It's a great and free way to support the channel. So this morning, I received the news that Bo Collins, Clemson's wide receiver, one of my favorite receivers for Clemson, has entered the transfer portal. I do wish him the best of luck. Hope he does very well. This season didn't turn out for Bo like he wanted it. He had injuries, and then he had some drops this year. And I don't know if those injuries actually affected the way that he performed in the games that he did play in. I know that's kind of like, ooh, if someone's injured, it does affect the way they play. I guess my point that I'm trying to get across is, was he injured all season? Was that the reason that he dropped some of the passes that he dropped? But before this, Bo Collins, to me, was the most consistent wide receiver that we had over the past few years, including when Ngata was there. I know Ngata, he had some health problems. And we had guys like E.J. Williams transferring out. This guy stepped up. Frank Ladson was there. By the way, Frank Ladson, after being at Miami for one or two seasons, he's now transferring out of Miami, along with Tyler Van Dyke. Rumor is he's transferring out as well. So to see Bo Collins leave is a big deal for us. The guy was a fighter. The guy came out, played every game. This year was probably his least productive season. Once again, I don't know how much injuries actually played into that, but the best of luck to him. I just really liked watching the guy play. Mitchell Mays has entered the transfer portal or will enter the transfer portal. So that's interesting. Now, this should free up some scholarships. Considering this just happened, I very well doubt that the Clemson staff has given the scholarships that they didn't know about Clemson not losing, but they did know that they were going to lose. That they already gave them to someone else, so they can't go to the transfer portal and possibly plug some of these holes. Now, before I go any farther with the transfer portal talk and some of the big names like Riley Leonard from Duke hitting the transfer portal, I want to revisit some comments that I've made in the past. By the way, I don't have the comments turned on right now, so I can't see anything. Just so I can speak organically, I'll say hello to everyone here in just a second. The transfer portal is not a way to build a football team or build it for the long term. The transfer portal is used to plug holes. So if you need a wide receiver, you go to the transfer portal and you say, who's available? Think about the University of Georgia. With all the pull and all the great recruits that they have, they went to the transfer portal and picked up Missouri wide receiver Dominique Lovett, who, by the way, caught a beautiful pass against Georgia Tech. You know, I can't stand the Bulldogs. I'm not a dog. Have some good dog followers. We like to talk some trash. Good luck to y'all. I'm not a Dogs fan. But Dominique Lovett was a talented wide receiver. Is a talented wide receiver. You go there and you pick up players if you have a void somewhere. So for Clemson, if they're losing Bo Collins, I know they're getting Wesco out of Texas as long as he signs. You now have two scholarships that you were not expecting to have. Mitchell Mays. You have Bo Collins. Unfortunately, but I don't blame him, Jeremiah Trotter's going to the NFL. Nate Wiggins announced he's going to the NFL. I'm going to make it very clear. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know all the ins and outs about the transfer portal rules. I'm not going to act like that I do. But what I do know is that these guys are gone. All right. These guys are gone. So that should give us at least two more with Collins and Mitchell Mays, two more scholarships. That could be someone could go to the transfer portal, namely Clemson, and look for someone if there is a need at a specific position. You can't build a team on it. You can profit from it. Florida State is not an entire team of transfer portal players, but they have some of their main players are transfer portal guys. Jordan Travis, quarterback, God help him with his injury he just had. It's terrible. But a lot of people forget that the guy came from Louisville. He was a quarterback at Louisville. He was at Florida State. He was about to become a wide receiver, and Norvell talked him out of it. He said, no, you need to be a quarterback. So Jared Verse is a great story. All right. Jaheim Bell. So, folks, I could keep going here. But my point is, they also recruited solid. So, it's not all transfer portal players. I just want to make that very clear. But the transfer portal is used to find supplementary players where there may be a gap. It is not a way to build a full football team. And I'm not advocating for that. I never have. And that's not what I'm doing here. So I just want to make that very clear to everyone. Let's talk about some more transfer portal entries. Now, Riley Leonard, quarterback from Duke. I mean, this guy, you talk about a sad story. He comes in, he plays great against Clemson, 6'4", 215 pounds. I talked about him at nauseum during the offseason. This guy comes in, does great against the Tigers. He gets into the Notre Dame game. He gets hurt towards the end. And the Duke season went just like that. The Duke team that Clemson played is not the Duke team that's played for like 5 or 6 weeks, at least. And he no more than hits the transfer portal. According to 24/7 Sports, he is already a 100% commit to Notre Dame. That's according to 24/7 Sports. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not saying that in a bad or a good way. I'm just telling you what I am reading right now. Now, I thought immediately he would go to Texas A&M. Mike Elko leaves Duke, goes to A&M. He gets this incredible quarterback who can move, who has size, who has a fantastic arm, who has really good decision-making skills. This is the greatest way for someone to immediately step up. They're saying right now that he's going to 24/7 Sports says he's going to Notre Dame. Check the comment section real quick. Just going to say a quick hello. Cohen Pope in here. Renee Arline. Slim Shady Canes. Thomas Honeycutt. The Nature Boy. Jonathan Benton. Dwayne Wicker. It's good to see you, James Thompson. All right, so right now for Clemson, all we are losing as far as to the transfer portal is Bo Collins and Mitchell Mays at this point. Now, will anyone follow over the next few days? I mean, we're just at the beginning of today, the last day in November. Who else will follow? Who else will say, hey, we're leaving. We're done. We're not playing games anymore. Some notable names that, hopefully you should know. Will Howard's leaving Kansas State. According to 24/7 Sports, he's rated as high, as Riley Leonard. Grayson McCall, the Coastal Carolina quarterback who did last year enter the transfer portal. When Tim Beck was hired, and then he decided, hey, look, I'm just going to stay in Conway. I've had the pleasure of watching this guy play. He was, a 2-star quarterback coming out of Indian Trail there in the Charlotte area. He's done some great things at Coastal. He's had some injuries over the past year. That's the only drawback with Grayson. But you want to talk about a workhorse? You're talking about athleticism, a fighter. Grayson McCall is that. Well, he's hit the transfer portal for his last season. This year, he was injured a lot of this season. And Coastal Carolina just got the crap beat out of them by James Madison, but he was not playing quarterback. He just hit the transfer portal. He would be a good grab for a team like Auburn. I'm not saying Auburn. I don't know their quarterback situation there as far as whether the quarterback is, young, old, I don't know. But a team like that, Grayson McCall would be great for. Will Rogers is leaving Mississippi State. I mentioned Tyler Van Dyke's leaving. Max Johnson, I think this is his second transfer. He's transferred from LSU, from what I can remember, to Texas A&M. Now he's transferring to North Carolina. Concerning other players, Chris Tyree, he's played running back. He's played wide receiver at Notre Dame. He hit the portal. That guy's a talented player. I think that he would be a good grab for someone. I think he would be one of those cats that you would say, hey, we wanted someone who we can move around and he's explosive. Let's go with that guy. You're just seeing more and more players hit the transfer portal. And I'm telling you, all you have to do is go to my last video that I recorded yesterday. Parker Henderson, you're right. Hunter Helms left Clemson. He's leaving Clemson. I would not be shocked if he went somewhere. I'm not predicting him to go to this particular school, but I wouldn't be shocked if he went somewhere like excuse me, if he went somewhere like an Appalachian State or at Furman. If Huff is about to leave, if Huff has, I think his eligibility is up after this year. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. But we're losing Hunter Helms as well. But as I was saying, if you go to the last video that I uploaded, and it was yesterday, it was this video. Clemson using the transfer portal now because they made an offer to a 6'6", 310, 320 pound offensive lineman out of a really small school called Shorter. Alan Heron, I believe that's his name. He's just completed his sophomore season. Supposedly Clemson gave him an offer. They made him an offer, and he I don't know if he'll take it. He has a lot of offers right now. But if you go through the comments section and you read through it, and then I challenge you to leave my comment section, go to other comment sections, go to other forums. The transfer portal really ticks off people. It really, really does. That's why I gave the disclaimer just a second ago. I am going to revisit comments that I've made in the past that the transfer portal is not a way to build a team for long-term success. It is supplementary. It's like people trying to live off of protein shakes. Look, you need some real food. The protein shake is not the bad guy. Your misuse of it, or maybe misconception of it, is the bad guy. And I've made this point at nauseam. I've also made this comment that Clemson's problem, their decline that is obvious, is on the offensive side of the football in the position coach at the position coach level. And I've said this several times. So Clemson can go raid the transfer portal all they want to. They can go pick up this player. They can go get Keon Coleman, like Florida State did, by the way. He's a big reason why they've had success. You can't deny it. Who caught the game-winning touchdown against Clemson? Keon Coleman. Who torched LSU? Keon Coleman. You don't build a team off of it. It's supplementary. But Clemson can go raid the transfer portal all they want to, but until they figure out what's going on at the offensive level, the position coach level, namely offensive line and wide receiver coach, raid it all you want to. We have development issues. Why? Let's take a stroll down memory lane. E.J. Williams. E.J. Williams was a big recruit coming out of high school. His first year, he played with Trevor Lawrence. Looked pretty good. He had good players around him. After that, he couldn't catch a football. He couldn't. Frank Ladson, 5-star recruit. Big stuff. He's now at Miami. He's about to transfer out. He didn't pan out. Adam Randall. Yes, Adam Randall has had injuries. I agree with you. I have to be very careful there. Is it injury prone? Is he not as good as when he is in the game? Is he not as good as he could be? Dakari Collins was not a bad recruit coming out of high school. Transferred to NC State. Joseph Ngata had injuries in his last year. Joseph Ngata was doing well. But do you think he ever lived up to the full potential that he could have been? Maybe I'm reaching there, and I'll admit that. Ngata was very talented. But did he reach his full potential? Antonio Williams played great right out of high school last year. And before he got injured, that took him off the field. We didn't see the fight that we used to see in him. There was a major drop in the Duke game. Last year, that kid would have made that catch. See, if you span something, an argument over time, and you see player after player struggle, it's not picking and choosing, it's looking at the whole. And the whole says something's going on at wide receiver. Our downfield blocking looks bad. There's no high pointing the ball. There's no fighting for the ball. If you have to have Nuke Hopkins, if you have to have T. Higgins for you to be a good football coach, maybe, just maybe, you're just not at the coaching level at this time in your career. I'm not saying you won't be, but at this time in your career, you might not be where you need to be coaching at this level. Chris Peterson was fantastic at Boise State. He was fantastic at Boise State. Why? Because he took just regular old players, no 5 stars, and he was beating teams with elite talent. He knows how to develop it. You have to know how to develop talent. The offensive line, people, oh man, so many people thinks our offensive line is fine. Really? That offensive line that I just watched this entire season. The season before this, it's fine. The season before that, it's fine. It's okay if we disagree. That's fine. I stand firmly on the offensive line is not elite. They're not. And if Clemson wants to, here's the problem with Clemson. Clemson became elite. So right now we have a title of elite that's still kind of lingering around, but most college football sees that we're not. I know we're not elite. But in the Clemson atmosphere, elite is still there. But what they forgot, and what a lot of people are forgetting, is that elite was started at the ground up, created a structure through coaching, through player development, by bringing in really good players, bringing in really good coaches. Yeah, you gave some guys like Tony Elliott a chance, but your entire coaching staff, or a solid majority or solid amount of the coaching staff, was not newer guys. It was built from the ground up and then achieved the title of elite. Now, the title of elite is there, but under it, it's not the supporting structure. So, transfer portal is people can talk about the transfer portal all they want to. And Dabo not using it, or he did make a few offers here and there, but nobody wanted to come, and we can't make anybody come to Clemson. We don't have the scholarships that you can go. Listen, folks, I've said this 100 times. Go through Clemson's roster and find out who has a scholarship, and then ask the question, why? Because if they didn't have that scholarship, maybe we could offer more players in the transfer portal at a supplementary level, not to build a team. I'm making this argument over and over. I have to keep saying it because someone right now is going, la, 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 la. You can't build a team off a transfer portal. That's not what I'm saying. Get your fingers out of your ears. I'm telling you, if instead of waiting until our kicker doesn't pan out, and then you have to call a guy in Charleston who's in a grad program who's about to move to New York for him to come in and kick against the toughest team that we have to play this year, and then him missing a 34-yard field goal, which, by the way, is not his fault. He shouldn't have been put in that place anyway. Maybe, just maybe, you could take one of those scholarships that you gave to somebody because they're kin to somebody, or because they're friends with someone, or because they tried real hard, and actually give it to someone who will propel your football team in a more successful direction. Once again, the transfer portal is not a way to build the team. And the transfer portal is not going to fix the coaching deficiencies at the position coach level on the offense. There it is. Please. Joseph Tanner, you make a solid point there. If they were elite, talking about Clemson's offensive line, Garrett Riley would not have had to simplify the blocking scheme. Folks, thank you for joining me today. This is only getting fired up. This is crazy. The names that we're seeing hit the transfer portal. South Carolina just found out Juice Wells. Remember, he got hurt early on in the season, very early on in the season, didn't play. Last week, it was kind of odd when Shane Beamer said, Juice Wells, his name's Antoine. Everybody calls him Juice. He might actually play against Clemson. And then Juice goes to social media and says, I'm not playing Saturday. He hit the transfer portal today. He's transferring out. So he transferred from James Madison to South Carolina, had a really good game against Clemson last year. And now he's going to transfer out. Juice Wells can play football. When you see stuff like that happening on a team, especially with the transfer portal available to us, to them, you know what's happening. Dylan Spill asked a very good question. Could current players be transferring out because of position or coaching changes? Maybe. I don't think we'll see position coach changes for Clemson until after the bowl game or after maybe even the season is over. And if we don't see coaching changes, and by the way, just don't change. It's like someone said, you know what, I just believe in change. It's like, okay, so what? I agree. If something needs to be changed, now if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But if there's problems, we have to fix it the proper way. This is not just for me to get on here and complain and gripe about Clemson and then not offer a solution. At wide receiver and offensive line, we don't look good. We don't look good. So unfortunately, that goes back to the coach. And or maybe a little bit of the talent. I don't know. But I'm not being paid ungodly money to figure that out. I'm just hanging out here talking to you, trying to figure it out because I just don't want my Tigers to fall to a 7-5 football team, an 8-4 football team, to where getting 10 wins is the goal again. It doesn't make sense. So this is a crazy time in college football, but hopefully Clemson will make the proper changes, hire the proper coaches to be elite. So, folks, you take care of yourself. I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit the join button. You can support the channel on a monthly basis, either $3 or $5 per month. It's just your choice. There's no difference there, whether it's just whatever you prefer. I do appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who has given super thanks in the past and who has been subscribing. The channel is growing. It's almost 3 times the size of subscribers as right before the season started. So thank y'all. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind words. I even appreciate the people who come on here just to argue with me. I do appreciate you. You take care of yourself. As always, go Tigers.